applications in 2019. There's some sort of deadline on February 1st.
I'd like to call in order the meeting of the Caroline County Public School Board. I am George Parker, Superintendent. Please, can we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Sean Kelly, member of the Madison District. Mr. George Spalding, member of the Bowling Green District. Mrs. Tinka Harris, Vice Chairperson of the Port Royal District. Mrs. Nancy Carson, member of the Mackinac District. Dr. George Parker, Division Superintendent. Mr. John Copeland, member of the West Caroline District. And Dr. Jawanda Rollins Fells, member of the Reading Church District. And I am Lisa Stevens, clerk of the board.
Thank you. I'm glad to say that Reverend Dwayne Fields Jr. from Oxford Mount Zion Baptist Church has joined us this evening. Thank you for joining us, sir. And he's going to bring forward the invocation.
Shall we pray? Gracious and loving God, we thank you first for your wise providence, God. We ask that you would invoke your presence in this meeting. We thank you for the school board, God, who works so diligently and attend to the affairs of our young people, God. We pray that they would look to you for guidance, God. And we pray again that you would bless this moment. Thank you for all of our staff and our teachers who work so hard to develop our young people into adults of character. Again, God, we thank you, and again, we ask for your presence. For it is in your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir, and Happy New Year. At this time, would you please stand as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we will begin our reorganization of our meeting. I will chair this process. Annually, we go through reorganization to elect the officers who will lead our school division and school board for the upcoming year. At this time, I will entertain nominations for the position of board chairman.
I'd like to nominate Mr. George Spalding as chairman.
Noted. Mr. Spalding, do you accept the nomination? Yes.
Somebody else.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board chairman? I will ask for a call the vote.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells?
Aye.
Mr. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Carson?
Aye.
Sounds like a unanimous vote. I'd like to introduce our 2018 board chairman, Mr. George Spalding. Let's give him a round of applause. And I will quickly pass the gavel if you are willing, sir.
Excuse me. First thing we have on the reorganization besides the chairperson is the appointment of the vice chair. Do I hear nominations?
I would like to nominate Jawanda Rollins Fells for vice chair.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? If not, call for the vote.
Dr. Rollins Fells?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mrs. Carson?
Aye.
Congratulations. No. Clerk of the board. Appointment.
I'd like to nominate Lisa Stevens for clerk of the board.
Second.
Any other nominations, recommendations? Not, call for the vote.
Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells?
Aye.
Mr. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Carson?
Aye.
Appointment for the deputy clerk of the school board.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Dolly Lindsay as deputy clerk of the school board.
Second.
Any other nominations? Not? Vote.
Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells.
Aye.
Excellent. Next, we have the appointment of designee of the division superintendent to attend meetings of the school board in the absence of the superintendent.
I'd like to nominate Dr. Calveric.
Second.
Any other nominations? Not? Vote.
Mrs. Harris.
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Aye.
Okay. School board meeting dates, times, and place. I'd like to make a recommendation that we have it second Monday like we always have here at the middle school, and a regular meeting at 5:30 and a workshop at 4:30.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Not call for vote.
Dr. Rollins Fells.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Aye.
Okay. We got that out of the way. Next, we have Pathways of 2022 Spotlight, Ms. Elam.
Good evening, Board. Congratulations, Mr. Spalding. Congratulations, Dr. Francis. Congratulations. Okay. Yeah.
Let the seats change.
We were just checking because lots of times Dr. Parker and I get mixed up and we go on these conventions and things.
I wonder why.
He's not here.
Thank you.
Good evening once again, Board. I bring to you our interdisciplinary project that we will be working with all of our 5 schools, our community members, family, friends, and everyone throughout Caroline County. Focusing on Goal 2, family and community involvement. And it basically, you reach right there, is bringing our folks in together, bringing our kids, our families together. And we're also with our student and staff relationships where we need to teach about different cultures and the things throughout our community. So this project really leads right into both of those 2 goals very easily. Give me a second. We're basing the Long Road to Education. We're looking at an article that was written by Bill Lohman, and it was featured in Richmond Times-Dispatch. It's a wonderful article, and you should have received it in your packet. And it's a quick read. I'll give you just a kind of a quick little synopsis of the article. The lesson he shares with us, he interviewed Jimmy Fields and Irene Fields, and it's the path that they followed to get to Union High School. And of course, if you know the history of Union High School in Caroline County, that was back during the days of segregation. And Union High School is basically where Bowling Green Elementary School is now. And folks had to travel great distances to get there, and that was the white school. And then the white school was just a little bit on down the road a little bit, where basically Central Office is now. Mrs. Fields tells the story of how her parents and family worked together to get a bus for children who were attending Union High School. Because the transportation was not there for these kids back then. And of course, as I said, this is during segregation, so times are tough. And it's not just for, the kids going to Union, but kids for everywhere in the county. The task of acquiring a school bus was the difficult one, but the parents did not give up. They asked the school board members numerous times, help us, and they were told no. Finally, they had an inn where they had a chassis, but they had to go down to North Carolina to get the actual bus body. And those folks went down on milk crates on the chassis and brought the school bus and the shell back. So that's, a difficult task in itself. But my favorite quote, and what I think this is really going to relate with our children and our students as we work through this project together through the month of February, Ms. Fields states, and she hopes that this draws the kids, idea to what education is really, why it should really be valued. I really want them to understand how important it is to get an education, Irene said. I would like for them to know how important it is to stick it out and do their best to make it in life, because this is what the older people wanted for us, that we would be able to get decent jobs and be able to take care of ourselves. And sometimes that's where our kids nowadays, they understand you got to work hard, but sometimes they don't understand the true meaning and the value of that education. So during the month of February, we'll bring all of our schools together. We've got all 5 schools, we've got our family, friends, community members coming together. We'll be at Caroline High School. We will work with the teachers, the liaisons, the content liaisons will work with the teachers to prepare activities and different presentations for the kids to do during the month, incorporated in all core curriculum and even the non-core curriculums. And have activities, presentations, and projects for our kids to work on. Now, February 27th, we'll bring it all together and highlight our student performances and projects at the high school. It'll run kind of very similar to our the way our art show runs. We'll come in and we'll observe some of the activities the students have done, the things the kids have done. And then it's probably about 7:15 or so, we'll have a culminating presentation. I've already talked with Reverend Fields. His great-grandparents are enthused. They're excited about coming in. One of our high school teachers will take one of her groups of students, interview those folks, and do what she's called a living newspaper, and to bring that story to life. And that is our Pathways 2022 highlight for the month of February. Questions?
So all the schools are going to be doing something on Black History in the month of February?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
all classes also? Because I know at times some don't want to do that, and they don't highlight anything in that month. So is that the plan?
Our goals with this project, is to share our history, Caroline County history. Okay, that's part of it. And we're reflecting on the past, present, and the future contributions of African Americans. That's part of it. We're teaching perseverance and grit, which is something our students drastically need. And we're making connections between our ideas and concepts across the different disciplinary contents. Now, am I saying that every art class would do this?
Not necessarily all.
No. Well, I'm just saying, but all schools will be doing activities. I have meetings planned for all the 5 schools so we can coordinate, so we don't have 5 kids, 5 schools having a step competition type activity, or 5 groups doing the same art activity. We will coordinate, and I will coordinate with all 5 schools and the content liaisons, so we have a broad variety to highlight our student performances and projects.
Okay. So they may do something like a little synopsis or a small report or what you call that thing, a diorama?
Yes, ma'am.
Diorama, something like that.
And it depends on the age group, because we're not just hitting the high school, middle school, we're going from K-5 all the way up,
Oh, yeah,
or K-12, just depends.
Because I had special ed and they had to do the dioramas.
Yes, ma'am.
And things, and they also had to do a report. They can go, they're capable
Absolutely.
And bringing up a report.
Absolutely.
Such as potato chips and the peanuts and lots of things that they don't know about.
I would like to add some additional information in response to your question, Ms. Harris, as we obviously have Ms. Elam coming aboard and assuming responsibility for this division-wide project. So I wanted to share with you that we've been working collaboratively with our liaisons. We came up with a comprehensive list of options for each of our schools to select from. There are a variety of abilities, a variety of products, a variety of presentation methods available so that should a staff member desire to participate or be tapped to participate by administration and the liaison, they will have a wide array or a breadth of opportunities to select something that's appropriate for their student body. This will be in conjunction with all of the other activities that each school has individually identified for Black History Month. So it is one core component, but a division-wide focus.
Okay, as long as it's division-wide, all schools participate.
Yes, ma'am, you are correct.
Okay.
Dr. Calvert, I have just a clarifying question.
Sure.
My interpretation of this is not necessarily Black history, but more of the type of education in general. And, we know that February is Black History Month and it may be embedded, but am I correct in understanding that this is broader than
It is.
Black history?
It is much broader. You are absolutely correct, because our goal in the future is to take a look at other historical events in Caroline history. This just happens to be the one that we began with because Dr. Parker had been introduced to the news article, and we felt like this was something that really spoke to us because of its true connection to the educational roots. So we thought, in terms of beginning an interdisciplinary project that encompassed K through 12 students, this would really speak to the work we do in the trenches every single day. But yes, we do hope to continue in the future with other topics that may or may not overlap with contributions of African Americans from Caroline County.
Thank you, Ms. Salem.
Thank you, sir.
If you didn't read that article, you ought to read it because it was really a work of perseverance, what they had to put up with to get a school bus. But it is good. Thank you. All right, we move on now to the awards, recognitions, and commendations. Recognition of Principal Appreciation Week. Dr. Monroe.
Congratulations to all of our new positions and board members. And again, I'm going to start tonight with Chairman Spalding, Vice Chair Dr. Rollins-Fells, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. It is with great pride and enthusiasm to announce that Caroline County Public Schools will be recognizing January 22nd through the 26th, 2018 as Principals Appreciation Week. We hope that all board members, all employees, and others throughout our school community will join us in acknowledging the tireless efforts of our school principals. As we may or may not know, the role of the principal as the instructional leader of the school is critically important to ensure students are provided the opportunity to learn. Our principals work diligently to help students and teachers excel, and their leadership and hard work are essential to the success of our schools. They deserve all the recognition and praise we can give them, so please stay tuned for a Blackboard message and other messages that will be going out later this month that will acknowledge our school leaders and provide options for ways families and community partners can celebrate and appreciate our building principals. At this time, I would like our principals to be recognized and come up to the podium. Let's start with Principal Michelle Jones, who of course is principal at Bowling Green Elementary School. Can we give her a round of applause, please, as she comes up to the podium? Next, we have Mrs. Dree Haley, who is principal of, yes ma'am, of Madison Elementary School. Those Mustangs, come on down. Now, I will tell you, I know this next principal is an avid football fan, and she sent us a picture of her flat tire that she had about an hour ago, but we think maybe it was a picture from maybe a month or two ago, but no joking aside, Cindy actually had a flat tire. She's getting her tire repaired right now. Oh, they did. Okay, well, we know the Steelers have a low title contract. Anyway, can we give Mrs. R for a round of applause? Next, we have Mrs. Karen Foster, who is principal of Caroline Middle School. Karen, come on down. And last but not least, at our major high school, one and only Mr. Jeff Wick. Come on down.
Well, again, we just wanted to acknowledge all of our principals. And there'll be a lot of treats and surprises later on. We'll get candy. Yeah, we'll take the
Good things come this way.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
We as a board appreciate all the work and dedication that our principals had. All right, Dr. Monroe, you up again. Recognition of heroic act.
Yes, Chairman Spalding, Dr. Robbins-Fells, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. I'd like to announce that Officer Hall, Nurse Pettigrew, and constituents of Caroline High School and the Caroline community would like to commend and recognize Nurse Jennifer Light for her heroic act. On November 28, 2017, a male student went into anaphylactic shock, which included losing consciousness and actually vomiting on Nurse Light. Without panic or hesitation, she administered 2 EpiPens to the student before rescue could arrive to transport him to the hospital. Based on Officer Hall's experiences and those of Nurse Pettigrew at the middle school with these matters, Nurse Light most likely saved the boy's life. Officer Hall, Nurse Pettigrew, and all of Cavalier Nation wishes to pass along how great a job Nurse Light did in helping that young man. We all thank and praise Nurse Light for her calm and immediate response in helping this young Cavalier to continue his education. So without further ado, she is here tonight with her son, and can we give Nurse Light a big round of applause?
Dr. Parker, want to come on down one more time? Nurse Light, is there anything you want to add to that? That's just what was shared with me and what was shared with us. Was there anything?
I would say it's anything heroic. It's nothing that none of the other forceful nurses would have immediately reacted the same way.
Well, we always know how great of a job that you do just day in and day out.
Yeah.
But, when a crisis emerges, to know that you're there to help our kids really stands out. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Next, we have a recognition of the second quarter ABCD recipient, Dr. Calvert.
Good evening, Chair Carson, Vice Chair Dr. Rollins-Fells, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. The ABCD Award recognizes any employee who goes above and beyond the call of duty in performing his or her job responsibilities. Any employee may nominate a fellow CCPS colleague for the ABCD Award. Once nominated, nominees are evaluated on one or more of the following criteria. 1, made a significant contribution that improves job efficiency, the quality of services, improves safety, or conserves resources. 2, performs a humanitarian or heroic act. And/or 3, responds proactively by anticipating needs and solving problems without specific direction. Please join the superintendent, the school board, and Grand Canyon University in recognizing and honoring those employees who went above and beyond the call of duty during the second quarter of the 2017-2018 school year. I do believe because of our inclement weather situation that we may not have all 3 recipients with us, but when your name is called, if you are here, please come forward and be recognized. And I do ask that Dr. Parker come forward to present their plaques. Congratulations to Ms. Lori Wolford, Madison Elementary Instructional Assistant. Ms. Lori Wolford is exceptional in organization and participation in activities at Madison Elementary School. She consistently contributes her gifts and talents beyond the scope of her job to meet the needs of the school staff and students. Madison Elementary students and staff are blessed to count her as one of their own. Many of the teachers shared how Ms. Wolford effortlessly jumps in at all times to guide and teach students. Her passion is in the extra stuff she brings to the school. She is the one who never forgets the cake for the beta induction ceremony, the neat new bulletin board for the upcoming month, or that child who needs a special smile to help motivate him. She is a big part of the successful father-daughter dance and fun karaoke staff day at Madison. Her experience and expertise have brought the extra shine to festivals and staff appreciation weeks. Students and teachers rely on her stellar caretaking contributions that are shared daily. Ms. Wolford is modest, creative, and intelligent. She has a gift of working with children, and her own children are evidence of her talent. She instinctively knows who needs help in a classroom and comes to aid. Thank you, Mrs. Wolford, for all you do for the Madison Mustangs. Congratulations. Mrs. Karen Foster, Caroline Middle School Principal. Mrs. Karen Foster, Principal of Caroline Middle School, is a professional and consistent administrator. She has truly impacted leadership skills for an administrator, and the learning continues on a daily basis. Curriculum leaders participated in a meeting organized by Ms. Foster. The first step was to talk about data she had collected from her student advisory meeting with the 8th grade students. From there, discussions led to the importance of considering best practices and instruction in all content areas. Curriculum leaders then broke into pairs and did team observations in several classrooms. When the group convened, Mrs. Foster closed the loop by facilitating meaningful conversations and came up with a plan of action. She asked the group to reflect and even assigned a bit of homework. Mrs. Foster is intentional with her activities and experiences that she provides for the staff. She maintains high expectations for all. There is a positive and remarkable change in student and staff behaviors as well as climate and culture. She is good for the students, families, and school community. Caroline Middle School has found a gem. Congratulations, Mrs. Foster. Mrs. Brandy Watts, Bowling Green Elementary Instructional Assistant. You can see how dedicated these employees are to be here on an evening where there was inclement weather. Mrs. Brandy Watts is a team player and willing to step up to help staff and students at all times. She comes into work with a smile and encourages others to have fun and be happy. She is very caring and helps students in the classroom and others at Bowling Green Elementary School. For example, she purchased new winter coats for students at the school who could not afford them. She also sends home a weekend snack bag every Friday with 4 students who usually do not have enough to eat while at home all weekend. She does these things from her own funds and from the kindness of her heart. Mrs. Watts is a hard worker, team player, and a beautiful soul. Caroline County, Bowling Green Elementary, and the students are very lucky to have such a wonderful lady taking care of them. Congratulations and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you, Dr. Gilberry. Next, we have citizens' comments. If you have signed up to speak, there's a three-minute limit on it that Lisa will be timing you on. And to come up, be sure to put down your district that you're from and so forth.
Mr. Spalding, there are no citizens' comments at this time.
No speeches at this time. Wonderful. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's move right ahead. On the consent agenda, we have the approval of minutes. School board workshop, December 11th, 2017, regular meeting, the 11th, 2017, approval of monthly bills, financial reports, vendor payments, budget status report, approval of homeschool requests. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion or questions? If not, call for the vote.
Mr. Coe?
Mr. Chairman, if a note could be added that the approval of monthly bills, financial reports, vendor payments, the financials from the Director of Budget and Finance were provided to the board on January 22nd. So if there could be a note in the minutes just reflecting that change.
I move to accept the consent agenda as amended.
Second still stands.
All right, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? Not, call for the vote.
Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mrs. Carson?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Spalding?
Aye. Are the action items? A, approval of payments related to CHS construction project. Mr. Honan?
Chairman Spalding, Dr. Rollins Fells, members of the board, Dr. Parker, come tonight to request payment CHS renovation project in the amount of $36,240 to Honeywell for the access control fire alarm security features.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of payments related to CHS construction project in the amount of $36,240.
Second. It's been moved and second. Any questions?
Is this the retainage due to Honeywell, or is this for that separate project?
No, this is, it's part of their retainage and sort of a final payment.
Okay, thank you.
So what of a final payment, or is it a final payment?
I'm sorry?
You said sort of the final payment. Is it the final payment, or is it strictly one after?
I believe it's their final payment. I know we've been back and forth about how much the amount was. I believe it's their final payment.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Mr. Honan, do we have all the punch lists and everything taken care of?
I've got a report later on, but yes, sir, we're well into that list. And I think we even took care of a problem you brought to our attention last month. Somebody did.
Okay.
But I've got a report later about some of those activities.
Any other questions? I'll call for the vote.
Mrs. Carson?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris?
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Mr. Spalding?
Aye. Next, we have the approval of payments related to the MES construction project. Again, Mr. Honan.
Yes, Chairman Spalding, Dr. Rollins Fells, members of the board, Dr. Parker. We've got another small progress payment to Haley Construction relevant to the MES project. And this is just, we still have retainage with Haley, so this is just a progress payment. But we've seen progress on the work that they need to get done, so we felt like this was an appropriate thing to do.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of payments related to MES construction project in the amount of $68,937.92.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the payment. Call for the vote.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Aye.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells.
Aye.
Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Thank you. And I'll be back later with a report on it.
Next, we have the approval of policy IKFD, alternative path to attaining standard unit of credit. Dr. Calvert.
Good evening again, Chair Spalding, Vice Chair Dr. Rollins Fells, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. I come to you this evening as a second reading of policy IKFD, alternative paths to attaining units of credit. Are there any questions at this time regarding this policy?
Any questions? Do you hear a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve. Call for the vote.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris. Mrs. Carson.
Aye.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Thank you.
New business. This is the first reading on the instructional calendar 2018-19. Again, Dr. Calvert.
Good evening again, Chair Spalding, Vice Chair Dr. Rollins Fells, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. It is my pleasure to present to you the first draft of our 2018-2019 instructional calendar. Additionally, I will be sharing with you calendar committee input, committee feedback, and the CCPS survey data will be summarized prior to the school board review of the 18-19 instructional calendar. At this time, I invite you to turn your attention to a copy of the PowerPoint, which is being passed out by Ms. Stevens at this time. It's also on display behind you. As you can see, the committee is comprised of a number of stakeholders, not only from each of our 5 buildings, but from central office, from the transportation department, as well as support staff, administration, and parents. This committee comes together. It is established in the month of August. However, we do not come together hip to hip until the month of November, where we hold our first calendar committee meeting. We then ultimately put together some options for a potential calendar, which I then take back and put into an option A and B, which is publicly displayed through a survey that goes out to not only our staff, but our community members. This year, we not only sent it out to the staff via email, but we also did a phone blast with an accompanied email to our community to draw attention to the fact that these items were housed on our website. I do believe that this was a beneficial mode of communication and did result in our results tripling in response. So I do believe that this is very much a reflection of the voice of Caroline community, parents, and staff members, as well as a few student responses, I must add. After we met in December to put together the survey went out and I was able to pull together all of the results right before winter break and analyze those over the winter holiday. And this evening, much of the trends and the information that we gleaned from the analysis will be shared with you. It was a very clear winner in terms of option A or option B, but there were trends that I think are really important to revisit. And those will be spotlighted this evening and also will come into play this Wednesday when the calendar committee comes together for its final concluding meeting. We will make any revisions that the committee feels are reasonable and feasible. We will then bring all of those modifications back to you at the February board meeting for your second reading and hopefully approval of the 18-19 calendar. As you can see, our response results are 225 respondents. Now, to put that into perspective, the number may seem rather small to you, but we were in the 70s last year. And so I view this as a tremendous increase and hope to annually get more and more input from our stakeholders as they become more knowledgeable and educated on calendar creation. It was a 2-week survey window. It went out the 2 weeks prior to winter break and closed the Thursday before the holiday break began. We had 2 options available, and you can see that option A scored 121 votes for 53.8% of the votes that were casted, with option B having 44% of votes, and then there were 5 others who gave various thoughts associated with the calendars. And then, of course, based on the information that we gathered from the open comment section, that assisted us in identifying trends. And so I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about 3 major trends, and then the 4th box, which has an asterisk next to it, I will share with you some additional information and hopefully provide you with a next step associated with that trend. So the first trend that we will take a look at, and I should, before I begin that, to preface that we are looking at option A. That was the winner, for lack of a better word, from these survey results. And so we will look at option A, and I will highlight for you what exactly that entails. So the large pieces of option A relate to the 4 following areas: instructional days and hours, the semester start and end dates, professional development opportunities, and instructional breaks in relation to fall, winter, and spring. So I just wanted to provide you with a few details on each of those items. The instructional days and hours associated with calendar A are as follows. There will be 87 instructional days in semester 1. There will be 86.5 days in semester 2, which equates to 173.5 days. If you're familiar with the VDOE requirements, we must run a calendar that offers 180 instructional days or a minimum of 990 instructional hours. We in Caroline embrace a 990-hour calendar. We exceed that, and there are a number of reasons why we exceed that. 1, 990 is minimum competency, but 2, we also like to have quality instruction, which affords us some flexibility should we have inclement weather. And so we do accomplish that with the calendar that we have. In terms of instructional hours, each of the 3 levels of schools has a varied length of school day. So it's somewhat of a complex formula that you utilize, but after calculating, we have approximately 78.76 hours at elementary that exceed the 990. We have approximately 125 hours at middle school, and we have approximately 137 hours at the high school. And I share that because it may become important to the board as we talk about that asterisk item, which was box 4 in trends. We also were able to accomplish a semester start date which aligns with the pre-Labor Day start, which is afforded to us by our inclement weather waiver. And the semester will end on December 20th, which is a Thursday, giving Friday to teachers and staff as a work day. Semester 2 begins on January 7th and ends on a half day, which is a Wednesday, May 22nd. And then teachers have that Thursday, Friday as complete work days. So very similar timeline in relation to this school year's calendar. Talking about professional development opportunities, it was really important to the committee that we balance the number of professional development days at the division level with the school level, and also the number of available work days. A work day is slated just for that. It is the opportunity for teachers to be doing things that are related to instructional planning, some of the business logistics that they need to handle, versus professional development is something scheduled for them to enhance their knowledge, expertise, and skills. And so with this schedule, we have 3 new teacher work days, 5-day teacher work week, which is a combination of work days and professional development. We have 3 half-day division PD days in October, January, and March. We We have 2 half-day building PD days in November and February. And teachers for work days have a 5-day teacher work week, 6 half-day work days, many of which overlap with the end of the quarter. And we also have 3 whole-day work days, 1 in December and 2 at the end of the year in May. So when you do all of the mathematics associated with that, it is very well balanced, and we did do our very best to listen to the committee to make sure that we were cognizant of teachers' needs for time in their classroom. In relation to instructional breaks, you can see that the fall break was something that was very much appreciated. It re-energized our staff, having started prior to Labor Day, and so we were able to afford a 3-day weekend in October. In addition to that, we were able to put October 16th as a teacher work day or /PD day. So it's a 4-day weekend for students, a 3-day weekend for staff, but that 4th day is actually a work day. So it should hopefully feel very rejuvenating, energizing, and also informative for the staff. The winter break met the request of 3 weekends and 2 full weeks, with 12/21 being a teacher work day. And the difference between calendar A and calendar B was really the spring break aspect. Calendar A proposed a consistent spring break moving forward, which would be the first week of April. This will assist with family planning. It will assist with aligning with the areas to the south of Caroline County, specifically our neighbor Hanover, Henrico, Chesterfield, that region. Dr. Parker has brought this topic forward to Region 3, and hopefully we'll be revisiting it with the superintendents, as there was some level of interest piqued. And so hopefully we'll be able to work closely with our neighbors to the north to find that alignment, which is critical to our staff when we have approximately 60 to 65% of our teachers and employees that live outside of our division. And then because we are picking up consistent spring break, one of the questions that followed was the Easter holiday. And so to be sensitive to this important holiday, we are doing a half day on Good Friday with Easter Monday off. And so that will remain consistent as we move forward with the consistent spring break. The trends that arose from the comments are in relation to 3 specific things: the end of the first semester, parent-teacher conferences, and the length of the school day and the start time. So I'm going to quickly talk about the end of the first semester and the parent-teacher conferences, and then offer a recommendation for the length of days and start time. Caroline High School embraces a 4x4 model. They end a full semester in December. And so they are, of course, dealing with logistics of grading, exams, of completing grades, of preparing for a new semester to begin after the holiday. So one of their requests was to look at using a half-day model for a day or 2 prior to winter break to afford them some additional time to be well prepared for the students' return after winter break. And so that is something that I will bring forward to the calendar committee. There are a variety of ways you could look at this, and so that is something that the committee will look at on Wednesday and bring back a recommendation to you when we come back in February for any reasonable modifications that are able to be made. Parent-teacher conferences on calendar A are currently scheduled for Valentine's Day. February 14th is near and dear to many, and so we certainly want to be respectful of February 14th and families being together that evening. And so we will be altering the February 14th parent-teacher conference date to be determined, and that will be revealed to you when we come back in February. So those were 2 large themes that came out of the comment areas. The third theme that was not only shared through the survey, but also with our calendar committee members, was the length of our school day and the school start time. And all of these are not tasks specifically assigned to the calendar committee. They are things that are becoming themes that I have been hearing. And so my recommendation would be that we put together a task force to take a closer look at our length of our school day and also to take a look at our school to start time, knowing that we've just had a capstone project through VCU completed, and we have a variety of data available to us. If we do both or look at both at the same time, it may be beneficial. If we look at one in isolation, that may work as well. Or we may elect to keep it the same. All of those are options on the table, but we have heard from a number of stakeholders and at this point feel that it would be worth the investment of time and energy to take a closer look. I also shared with you the length of hours we have beyond the 990, so I think that that is something that we can certainly step back and reflect upon. So what is next? What is next is our calendar committee will regroup on January 10th for our final meeting, and then we will bring to you a second reading on February, and I believe I put 5th, but I don't think that is actually the right day. I think it's the next Tuesday, yes, I'm ahead of myself. February 12th for the school board meeting, second reading, and of course we'll highlight any changes that came out of that committee work at that time. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. The task force for the length of day and start time, will they meet prior to you coming back with a recommendation in February?
No, ma'am. We would not be able to accomplish that in time for the calendar. However, what I can ensure this evening is that if we were going to make a modification to the length of day, I do believe that that would be something we could accomplish in preparation for next year. The start time aspect is multifaceted, and I don't believe that that is something that we could accomplish and do well before the beginning of the 18-19 school year. So,
I'm glad to hear that. I just wanted to manage
yes, ma'am.
expectations. That's all.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Informational items, update on construction projects, CHS, MES. Mr. Honan?
Sorry, I was busy looking at the weather map. Construction updates. Obviously, with the winter break and the weather the way it's been, there's not a lot going on, but at Madison, we did, as I think I mentioned last month, the work from the surveyor has been sent to OWPR, and we're still awaiting that report as to whether there's any additional work needs to be done to the basin. At the high school, Steve was just telling me that basically the punch list has been completed. OWPR was in on January 3rd to back check that. One of the things that we did get done over the break, it wasn't, I don't know if it was officially on the punch list, but I think that we all recognized it was something that needed to be done, but they did reline and refloor the elevator. So that's been done. We still need to replace, I'm going to replace the light fixture in there with a different light fixture and then replace the grid ceiling that was in there, but that's work that can take place here pretty quick. So. And Southwood is working with Kevin Whiteman to finalize the final inspection paperwork and final occupancy or permanent occupancy permits on the entire building. So that's just a paperwork thing. We got to get as-built drawings and certification on underground piping and all kinds of things. So we're busy working on that. If there's any questions that we have to try to answer.
Did the elevator get painted also inside?
We line the inside with a product, it's a fiberglass reinforced panel. It's a nice white surface. So yeah, the inside was done and the floor was replaced. And like I said, the only thing left to be done is put a new light fixture in and replace the grid ceiling, so.
How often is that checked? Mr. Otis come down?
The elevator? We have a service contract with an elevator company, and they come in. I know they do a fairly significant annual test, but I think they're in there quarterly, I believe, doing just a basic safety check.
I know it's not a big drop, but I hate to be someone stuck in there over a period of time.
Yeah. The maintenance, like I said, they do, like a fairly significant annual test, which is a safety test and anything, and we've been trying to keep up with all of the deficiencies that they know, so we're trying to keep up with that.
Any questions? Not, thank you, Mr. Harlan.
Thank you.
Next, we have the monthly update on revenue and expenditures. Dr. Hellman.
Chairman Spalding, Vice Chairman Fells, board members, superintendent. In your packet tonight are some monthly financials, but we will be presenting those, the majority of them, to you on the 22nd at the work session, simply because of the break in time and trying to get everything together and meeting this evening. So we look forward to having that for you on the 22nd.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have the FY19 and governor's proposed budget changes. Dr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Spalding. This evening, you were presented with the overview of the governor's budget during our work session. Dr. Hellman is prepared if there are any questions lingering questions that you may have regarding the governor's budget. He'd be happy to answer those at this time. But he's going to forego doing a similar presentation during the public portion of this meeting. So if there are any questions, Dr. Hellman is standing by to answer any questions you may have regarding the governor's proposed budget.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Next, we move, excuse me, board comments. We'll start with Dr. Fells down at the end.
We want to start on that end. First of all, I just want to say thank you. It will be an honor to serve as the vice chair of this board. I look forward to working with each of you, and especially with you, Coach, as the chair. I do have a few additional comments. First of all, just thank you again to the principals. I know that you put in a lot of extra hours and you have to manage students and staff and the community and all that goes with that. And I just wanted to say I see you and I appreciate all that you do. In regards to the renovations, just a comment that as we are entering the space and students are using it, functionality to me is a big concern. To make sure that things not only look pretty and smell new and are shiny, but they actually work for the purposes of instruction. So I would just ask that we keep a close eye and ear on that. And then as we go through the budget process with workshops, I serve in several different capacities. And I just want to say this board is really effective and efficient. I appreciate that we have the workshops prior so that we can really get into the weeds and answer questions. And so thank you, Dr. Hellman, for being a subject matter expert and your assistance with us as we enter this process. Those are my comments.
Okay.
I have a couple. I just wanted to, I told one of the custodians as I came in this evening how beautiful the floors and the stairwells and everything look, because it looks gorgeous for the school. And I haven't seen the others, but it just, I wanted him to know how much I appreciated it. I was really proud of our boys basketball team at CMS. Mike Miner took the whole team to the Caroline Nursing Home, and they spent 2 hours doing board games with the people at the nursing home, and I just thought that was so nice over the Christmas break. And the boys, some of them wore Santa hats and different things, but I know that he posted a lot of pictures on Facebook. I was also really proud to see how well our JV team at the high school did in a winter tournament, basketball tournament they had. David Weir's doing an awesome job up there. And Ms. Richardson, Salita Richardson, and her girls team also did very well in that tournament I saw, and I was really proud of them. And I just want to say, I'm just really glad that it seems like all of the hard work that everybody has put into getting the bond referendum and getting our schools back to the glory days that they should be in is all the hard work and fruition that has come about. It's just looking like it's all coming together. And Mr. Honan, thank you and your team and for staying on that, and we really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
I just have a couple comments. The boys basketball team, the varsity team out at the high school, it's so good to open up the sports page and look at the standings and see Caroline up here and not down here. I think they're either 9-1 and 10-1, and they're 3-0 in the district. So I think that is just wonderful. And I hope everyone had a nice break, restful break, and ready to work the second semester. And we also have a birthday girl up here on the panel tonight. I won't tell you who it is, but she says she's 49, but I question that. But anyway, Miss Nancy, so we wish her a happy birthday.
Gave you a...
Would you like to make a speech or not? No, that's all right.
I think I look pretty good for 100. That's all right.
You do. Okay, Dr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My remarks will be brief. I'd like to, I see we're putting folks on the spot. I would like to put Mrs. Carson on the spot. I was fortunate enough to work with her very closely this year as the board chairman, and I just want to say it I've said this in a personal meeting with her, but I also want to say this in a public forum. She did a phenomenal job as a board chairman this year, and it was an extreme joy to work with. And I just think that I obviously have worked with Mrs. Spalding in the past. I look forward to this year. Congratulations, and I look forward to working closer with Dr. Rollins Fells. But in terms of Mrs. Carson's leadership, I could just say that she is a get it done person, and she has been very involved. And I like that, and I really enjoyed working with you this year, and I just want to thank you for the experience. I had the opportunity to attend several school sporting events just over the holiday, where we get out of the house, cabin fever. I did get a chance to see the girls basketball team play and the wrestling team at the high school. I didn't get a chance to get to the middle school this time, but that's coming, and I'll see the boys pretty soon as well. But I'm just proud of the student athletes that we have, and I continue to encourage everyone to lift them up as they compete. I know our girls didn't win the night that I was there, but they really gave a hard-fought effort. And it's good to see the level of spirit and support from the community at a lot of our games. And the gym looks phenomenal over at the high school. Our maintenance staff continue to do a great job over the holidays. The snow was unexpected. But by the time I contacted Mr. Honan about getting the parking lots and sidewalks cleared, he was already 3 buildings in. And that's a testament to the folks that work with them and who are willing to come in over the holiday break to make sure that our folks are safe coming into schools and making sure that we're ready for a school day. And I want to personally thank Mr. Honan and his staff for making sure that we were up and running and ready. Mother Nature hasn't cooperated yet, but we're going to get there. I also was very pleased to see the amount of support for needy families prior to the holidays and the amount of collections that were taking place around the division for needy families in Caroline County, whether it was collected for the food bank or specific families in general. There will seem to be a list going around everywhere to collect needy items, Christmas items for families, and I just think that that's the type of spirit that we need to show our students and the values that we need to show our students on a regular basis. As Dr. Kelber mentioned, the idea formalized around the Dawn Project. I call it the Dawn Project, where we're talking about the efforts to bring transportation, public transportation to Union High School, centered around an article I read in the Richmond Times my first year here in Caroline County. And I stuffed that article, I was so touched by it, I stuffed that article in a folder, and I held on to it for over a year. before I had the staff I needed in place to make sure that we could do some type of interdisciplinary project to recognize not only the Don community for their efforts to bring education to the students that live there, but also just the value of education and the hard work of a community and the values that they put in place, where the men actually drove that bus to school. After that bus was put together and they got it running, men from the community drove that school and drove the kids to school every day. And it just, to me, that was a time when people got it done for their kids. And I think there are many opportunities, those instances are lost in history, and I just felt that it's something we need to share with our kids. Because the value of education should never go away. It should be a value, it should be something that we should impart on them and they should impart on their children as they become adults. So I'm hoping this interdisciplinary project is well received, not only by the Don community, but the broader Caroline County community. And I agree with Dr. Rollins-Fells. It's not just history. It's about values. And it's about effort, and it's about grit. And I think that there's a place for that in every school and in every home in this county. And I hope that it's a good study for our students. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity.
Now, we plan to go into closed session to discuss personnel, discussion of appointments, resignations, retirement as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, 1950 as amended, and we have no disciplinary cases. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for vote.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Dr. Rollins-Fells?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Carson?
Aye.
Mr. Spalding?
Aye. Now go to closed session.